Our next speaker is Niraj Singh. Dr. Singh is the medical director of kidney and pancreas transplantation at the John C. McDonald Regional Transplant Center and is an associate professor of medicine at LSU Health Sciences Center in Shreveport, Louisiana. Dr. Singh will speak to us on the real-life use of TruGraft versus cell-free DNA for monitoring renal transplant patients. Dr. Singh.
These are my disclosures. As we know, serum creatinine and kidney biopsy have been the only tools to monitor kidney allografts for rejection for past many decades. Recently, we have seen several non-invasive assays become available, and two of them, TruGraft and donor-derived cell-free DNA, have received CMS approval and are currently being adopted by several transplant centers across the country for immune monitoring post-transplant. TruGraft, which is a blood gene expression assay, is intended for use in kidney transplant recipients with a stable renal function as an alternative to surveillance biopsies. The TruGraft result is reported either as TX, which means transplant excellence, or non-TX. A TX result rules out subclinical rejection with a high probability and hence the need for a protocol biopsy. A non-TX result, on the other hand, may suggest suboptimal immunosuppression or immune activation. The donor-derived cell-free DNA is available through several companies including KRDX, which makes AlloSure, Natera, which makes Prospera, and Viracor, which makes TRAC. The donor-derived cell-free DNA is a marker of acute allograft injury and is supposed to assess the probability of rejection in kidney transplant recipients presenting with acute kidney injury. At our center, we use AlloSure post-kidney transplant in patients presenting with acute kidney injury to assess the possibility of rejection. In addition, we use AlloSure monthly up to 6 months and then at 9 and 12 months, followed by quarterly up to 3 years post-transplant as part of an immune surveillance protocol. In addition, patients also undergo TruGraft testing at the same time interval. But we use TruGraft only in a subset of patients considered to be at high risk for rejection, including those with high PRA, more than 80%, retransplants, kidney transplant recipients of DCD kidneys, patients undergoing belatacept conversion, and patients younger than 30 years old. Next, we will go over a couple of cases to describe how we have utilized immune monitoring in our patients post-transplant. So, case 1 is a 59-year-old African-American male with history of end-stage renal disease secondary to diabetes mellitus type 2 and hypertension, who underwent a deceased donor kidney transplant in September last year. Pre-transplant, his PRA was 0%. He received a kidney from a CMV seropositive donor, although he himself was CMV seronegative. This was a 5-antigen mismatch transplant from a 58-year-old donor with KDPS score of 83% and cold ischemia time of 18 hours. His immunosuppression medications consisted of mycophenolate mofetil 1 gram twice a day, Invarsas XR 8 mg PO once a day, and prednisone 5 mg PO once a day. Post-transplant, his creatinine came down in the range of 2.5 to 3.0, but did not get any better than this. In late January, his serum creatinine was noticed to be trending up. After transplant, we try to keep the tacrolimus levels in the range of 8 to 12, at least up to 3 to 6 months post-transplant. Patient had a couple of tacrolimus levels which were below therapeutic range. As serum creatinine continued to trend up, AKI workup was ordered, which included a negative BK and CMV virus PCR, negative donor-specific antibody, a urine analysis which was unremarkable, and urine protein to creatinine ratio which was only 0.3. He also had a normal kidney ultrasound. A patient had been undergoing AlloSure serial monitoring and they were all below the cutoff. In addition, patient had a track ordered at the time of his EKI as part of a study correlating the track with AlloSure, and it was also below cutoff. Patient had a true graph result of TX a month prior, which had now become non-TX. Due to suspicion for rejection, patient underwent a transplant kidney biopsy, and as shown in this figure, the panel on the left side shows mild ATN, and panel on the B and panel on the right side shows patient had at least 40 to 50% peritubular capillaries which were positive for C4D. So despite having a negative DSA, a diagnosis of antibody mediated rejection was made, and patient underwent 6 sessions of plasmapheresis along with IVIG, followed by 1 dose of rituximab. In addition, he also received a Solumetrol IV taper. With the above treatment, his serum creatinine trended down to 2.8 at the time of his last follow-up. Patient also has a true graph result of TX at his last follow-up. Case 2 is a 27-year-old African American female with history of end-stage renal disease secondary to hypertension who underwent a deceased donor kidney transplant in September last year. Pre-transplant, her PRA was 24%. This was a 4 mismatch transplant, and both donor and recipient were CMV seronegative. She received a kidney from a 38-year-old donor with the KDPS score of 43% and cold ischemia time of 9 hours 46 minutes. Her immunosuppression medications consisted of mycophenolate mofetil 750 mg PO twice a day, Invarsys XR 10 mg PO once a day, and prednisone 5 mg PO once a day. Her serum creatinine came down in the range of 1.9 to 2.2 mg per deciliter after transplant. In January, her serum creatinine was noticed to be trending up along with the anemia and thrombocytopenia. She had a kidney ultrasound ordered as part of an outpatient workup for AKI, and this was unremarkable. Concomitant with the rise in the serum creatinine, she was noticed to have couple of tacrolimus levels which were on the high side. The Invarsys, which was at 12 mg PO once a day, was initially put on hold, and then the dose was reduced to 10 mg PO once a day. But despite that, her serum creatinine continued to trend up. PK and CMV PCR were both negative. Donor specific antibody was also negative. She had some significant proteinuria of 1.2 gram. AlloSure was reported to be negative as well as the track. She had a true graph result of TX couple of weeks before, which had now become non-TX. Due to progressively rising serum creatinine, patient underwent a transplant kidney biopsy which showed evidence of borderline rejection along with the findings of thrombotic microangiopathy. So this next slide shows the kidney biopsy slides with the panel A showing thickening of the vessel wall, panel B showing some myxoid changes within the vessel wall, panel C showing fragmented RBCs in the blood vessel, and panel D is immunofluorescence of the blood vessel showing fibrinogen staining in the blood vessel. These are her rest of labs. Her peripheral blood smear showed evidence of schistocytes. She had elevated LDH, low haptoglobin, and a low complement C3. Her Adams 13 activity was in the normal range. Due to findings of renal dysfunction, microangiopathic hemolytic anemia, and thrombocytopenia, a diagnosis of atypical HUS was made. She underwent further genetic workup which confirmed factor H heterozygous mutation with low factor H level. Incidentally, patient also had a low factor I level. Due to borderline rejection on the biopsy, she was initiated on Solriamfetol IV taper. She also underwent 5 sessions of plasmapheresis with FFP infusion for her findings of TMA on the biopsy. But despite that, her serum creatinine did not respond and it continued to trend up. By that time, we had received approval for using eculizumab for her atypical HUS, and she received 4 doses a week apart, following which her serum creatinine trended down. A follow-up kidney biopsy showed improvement in the TMA as well as no rejection. She was also noticed to have improvement in her proteinuria. Her AlloSure stayed negative as well as TRAC, and also her TrueGraph stayed non-TX. If we look at the reported performance statistics of donor-derived cell-free DNA and TrueGraph, both these tests have a moderate sensitivity, specificity, as well as positive predictive value. But both of them have a very high negative predictive value for rejection. Donor-derived cell-free DNA for ruling out active cell-mediated or antibody-mediated rejection, and TrueGraph for ruling out silent or subclinical rejection. However, these two cases show us that TrueGraph may be helpful in picking up molecular signatures of underlying immune activation or rejection in patients having acute kidney injury post-kidney transplant. We will need further studies to define the role of TrueGraph in patients with acute kidney injury, including those undergoing for-cause biopsies post-kidney transplantation. With this, I want to thank you all, and I will be happy to answer any questions.